emergency.
Welcome back to That Wee Woo Show, a podcast where we watch and discuss episodes of the ABC show 911. I'm Ellen.
I'm Alice.
And I'm Bex.
Thanks very much to everyone who has been listening to our episodes and has shared our social media posts. And also a big thank you to everyone who has rated us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
And thank you, Kate, for your feedback on our episode 2 episodes ago, Full Moon, Creepy AF. Kate is a real-life firefighter and enjoyed the yoga delivery scene. She confirmed that they do hate full moons in EMS, and while Bobby and Buck aren't paramedics, they probably would have had a life pack or Zoll, Z-O-L-L, with a fetal heart monitor that they could have used, but it doesn't look as cinematic as badly checking vitals with a stethoscope. So shout out, Kate.
Thank you.
So last week on 911, a man was shot by a tree in a series of flashbacks within flashbacks. Bobby's blood saved some babies in record time. Athena realised it was time to let Michael go, and a tiger was the goodest girl. Buck and Abby who?
In this episode, we are going to discuss the Season 1, Episode 9, titled Trapped, which first aired on March 14 in 2018. And the official summary describes the episode as this. The first responders race to help a homeless man crushed in a garbage truck, a mother and son in a crashed elevator, and extreme hoarders entombed in their house. Meanwhile, Athena jumps into the dating pool as Buck and Abby's relationship is tested by her ailing mother. And for those of you who are a little bit squeamish, here are your content warnings for this episode. We have a man trapped in a garbage compactor at threat of being crushed. We have an elevator malfunction, threat of drowning, hoarders. We have an open fracture shown on screen and a minor character death.
Yep, and because this episode is called Trapped, of course, as per all the other episodes in this season, every musical number and scene involves someone being trapped or mentioning being trapped, of course. So we open this episode with Trapped by Bruce Springsteen, as Abby does a voiceover and she explains how people are resilient, and we soldier on, and it might feel like the world is conspiring us, but how do we break the cycle? And while all the while, as this music is playing, we have a homeless man who has been sleeping in a bus stop, and the police kind of tell him to move along, so he moves along the street. It starts raining, so he climbs into a dumpster and goes to sleep.
Can I just add, the bus shelter that the guy is sleeping at has a horror movie poster on the side of it for a movie called Jinn, which doesn't exist in real life, but the tagline for the movie is "Don't let the something out of the house." So even the fake horror movie posters are trapped in this episode.
Oh, well spotted.
I saw the poster and went, oh, that movie looks really good. Only to find that it doesn't exist. So as the boss declares that he's trapped, we cut to morning in Los Angeles, and the man who was sleeping in the dumpster wakes to loud mechanical and metal clanging noises, and his dumpster is moving. It's been picked up by the garbage truck, and he is being emptied into the back of the compactor. And the truck driver is wearing ear protectors, and he can't hear the man screaming for him to stop. And
Yeah, scary shit.
yeah.
And we go straight to a 911 call. Yeah, this time not Abby. Like, I don't know how she's not answering every call this episode, but no, she's not there. But it's from the man himself in the truck. He's trapped in a garbage truck. He can't move. So the 911 call, operator says that she's going to send the nearest police car. So
Which then we cut to a fire truck.
yeah,
Which, okay, fine. You're going to send police, but just actually send fire. Fine.
Just send everyone.
So we get the engine 118 racing down the street, lights and sirens going, with the rescue ambulance right behind it. And even though both vehicles are making a hell of a lot of noise, the garbage truck is not moving. And Hen pulls down the radio to ask the members of the 118 and the engine truck, what the hell is this dude's problem? And Buck is driving the engine truck.
Buck is driving.
Buck is driving. Bobby is riding shotgun. And Buck hears Hen's message and turns to Bobby and says, seriously, he doesn't hear us? Which, yeah, I don't know. I hear lights and sirens, and assuming that I don't have a K-pop song playing, I usually immediately realize that there's something going on behind me, and I'm frantically looking around to see where I can pull off safely.
I mean, sirens are designed to be heard over engine noises. But
They're so loud.
Yes. And he's honking too. It's not like it's just the sirens.
Yeah.
I guess not having like any vision in the back doesn't help, but surely.
Maybe he just hasn't bothered taking off his ear things.
Yeah, that too.
Maybe.
So Bobby tells Buck that they're going to have to get in front of him, which of course Buck loves.
Yes.
Speeds up, cuts the garbage truck off, which forces him to stop.
And the Garbo gets out and he's all like, what the hell, guys? And Bobby tells him that he has a man trapped inside his compactor, and the driver says that's impossible because he hasn't picked up any garbage yet.
They have the wrong truck.
They suddenly realise they have the wrong truck.
Buck's like, oh, thank you. You're doing a great job. Carry on. And they back away.
Buck is so cute.
Yes, he's adorable. And then Bobby's like, where the hell is this garbage truck? But it's okay because Athena is on it. I think the truck's already stopped, right? When she pulls up and turn off the compactor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. The guy's out there turning the compactor on. And she's like, turn it off. You got a guy inside. And the Garbo, in this case, is like, how the hell was I supposed to know you were sleeping in the dumpster? Like, good point, buddy.
Yeah. He's so worried that he's done something wrong, and Athena's very quick to reassure him, you've done nothing wrong. Yeah. But we do need you to stop the truck so we can get this guy out. We do have our first continuity fuck-up of the episode in that Bobby and Buck are driving engine 118, but Bobby identifies himself as driving truck 118. And I'm being very pedantic, but the truck is the ladder truck. And that's not what they're driving in this episode.
I thought that
I'm gonna get so nitpicky about which vehicle they're driving when. You're gonna get so sick of me by the end of this episode.
Because Bobby also gets really nitpicky. So
I assume that all the trucks in there were labelled 118 because that's their
They are all the 118, but if you are driving the ladder truck, that is T118, that's truck 118, and if you're driving the engine truck, which is the one with all the hoses and the pumps, that's engine 118.
Jeez, okay.
Oh, you'll get there. Bobby's very specific about which, like, do not call the engine a truck.
Oh, right, except in this case.
They have very different functions when it comes to attending scenes.
Okay.
But I'm guessing that they wrote the script and then nobody thought to double check, hey, which vehicle did we actually call onto the set today?
Yeah.
So that's continuity's fuck up for that one. Anyway, so they pull the engine truck up to Athena's location. And there's and Hen has found the ladder to the truck and she's climbed up to start searching the compactor for their victim.
Yeah, she seems to be in a hurry.
Yeah.
I do love the garbage guy's just like, damn, look at her go. And she's kind of scurries up the ladder. You're barking up the wrong tree there, dude. Number one, right. She's gay. Number two, she's married.
Bobby asks like the technical questions, like how much pressure does the compactor operate under? And the Garbo guesses 2,000 PSI.
He's close. It's about 2,700 PSI.
Mm-hmm.
Buck, helpfully being the voice of the audience, puts that in context and tells us that would crush a car. So it's not looking good for the poor man.
I do like that after Hen flies up the ladder, Buck climbs up after her, and sort of halfway up he makes a remark that it stinks, but then follows it up with, and people say we're heroes.
Yeah, he's so respectful
Probably.
of garbage people in this.
Yes.
You don't want to piss off the garbage guys.
God, no.
Yeah, that's an essential job.
Apparently, they are paid more than almost every other sort of minimum wage job in the US.
Well, they deserve it. I mean,
They definitely do.
yeah. And then after Hen starts lobbing rubbish down from the top of the truck, Bobby says to Athena, because they're both standing on the ground still, he's like, "What's with her?" Because he knows Athena's her buddy, I guess. But Athena's like, "I don't know, but if I were you, I'd stay out of her way."
I'm going to assume that Karen is still at her parents' with Denny.
Yeah.
So Athena's not in the... And so Hen is not in the best mood.
God, no. So Chim and Bobby both jump in as well.
Yeah, Buck helpfully gives us a little more exposition in that he asks why has he got a cell phone if he's sleeping in a dumpster. But Chim explains they give them to the homeless. It's part of the Lifeline program to keep them connected to their family.
But
so
here's the thing. Cell phones are not that expensive. You can afford a cell phone and still not afford to be able to rent or buy a house.
Yeah. Especially in a capital city. Like, LA is expensive.
There's this, I think, conception that being homeless means that you have absolutely no money. And while for some people, I'm sure that's true, for a lot of homeless people, it's they have some money, enough to survive, but not enough to actually secure permanent housing because the housing market is absolutely insane, or there are other reasons that preclude them from renting or purchasing. So they can afford to have cell phones, they can afford like a gym membership so they can go and shower, they can rent a PO box so they've got somewhere to get their mail sent, but they're still sleeping on the street, sleeping in their car, couch surfing, staying in shelters.
Yeah, even the start when the poor guy's trying to sleep on the bench and the cops come and like honk at him and tell him to move along. It just makes me so mad.
Yeah.
Because like he's literally just sleeping. What's he doing wrong?
It's the Keep the Streets Clean initiative.
Yeah.
Anyway, Hen finds the guy. She finds a foot.
yeah, he's there. He's alive. They found a pulse.
Surprisingly, he is alive. There was someone... I don't know how it got in there, but there is an armchair in the back of the truck.
Yeah.
And this guy managed to get wedged underneath, and it kind of created this little bubble around him and protected him from the pressure.
How the hell
of
did
the
that get in there?
compactor.
That doesn't fit in a wheelie bin. Maybe it was in a dumpster, actually.
It would have been in a
would have been
dumpster. Yeah.
Sorry, I was just thinking about the suburban garbage trucks going.
Yeah, no, this is like the industrial
Yeah,
dumpsters.
yeah,
But
yeah.
again,
No, that
I
makes
don't...
sense.
The vision of someone like getting this armchair and hauling it into a dumpster.
Yeah.
Anyway, it works for the scene. It doesn't work in reality. That's fine.
Well, it protected the guy and kept him alive.
He wakes up and says it hurts when Bobby asks him if it hurts to breathe. He says he can't feel his legs, but Buck and Henry assure him. They find out that his name's Sam. They tell him he's gonna get him out of here.
And they do. They strap him to the board, and then they use the ladder from the truck, which I don't know when the ladder truck arrived, but apparently it did. And they kind of use that as a conveyor belt to lower him down to the paramedics waiting on the ground.
Yeah, and somehow in all this time, they've attracted a crowd of onlookers, and they all cheer.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where these people are, but they're apparently somewhere where people are. All right, so we cut to Abby's place. She's about to go to work, and Carla is there. She's going to work extra hours, and Abby's just asking her if that's going to be okay, and Carla's like, yeah. And Abby says that, okay, so this is an interesting, also timeline inconsistency maybe here. She says, Buck and I are both working the graveyard shift, and then he has a breakfast date planned for us. So I assume this was kind of the next day, but then...
But no, because the next scene we get chronologically follows this scene with Sam in the garbage truck.
Yeah, because Hen and Athena go out for lunch. So it's like, so either Abby is working an like extremely long, like 12-hour shift.
But then that doesn't work because she and Buck are both working the graveyard shift. I think this scene is supposed to go before. Like, chronologically, it's meant to happen the day before.
Yeah, it must be out of order.
Or it exists in a parallel universe sort of running simultaneously with the Abby and the Buck that's happening. It doesn't fit chronologically.
No, if she hadn't said that thing about the graveyard shift, then that would have been fine. I wouldn't have even noticed. But because she said that...
Yeah, she could have just said, I have a I have a long shift. Like, I'm seeing Buck afterwards.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
they specified that she is going overnight because Patricia is going to bed and Carla is staying overnight until the morning.
Yeah. And she's having a breakfast date. But, I mean, maybe they were just two separate scenes that got written and then no one even thought about making them work chronologically. I don't know.
Okay, so this is continuity's second fuck up for these episodes.
Look, they spent all the money on the house later, okay? They didn't have money for the continuity.
They spent all the money on the hot air balloon and then couldn't get it back.
That too.
Yes. And the reason that they're doing this breakfast date is because she and Buck had a date previously, that had been cancelled because Carla and Abby ended up in the ER with Patricia.
Yeah.
So it doesn't sound like Patricia's doing well.
Nope.
No. But Carla, ever the optimist, is just telling Abby that she hopes this date is just Abby rubbing baby oil on Buck's biceps.
She's so funny. I love her.
This episode got kinky.
Yeah.
It really did.
Yep. And then this part is so sad. So Abby says bye to her mum, like she says, I've got to go to work. And Patricia just grabs her and says, stay.
It's giving trying to leave the 5-year-old at kindergarten and go to work.
Yeah.
And the kindergartner is just not having it and wants you to stay.
And she reaches up to sort of touch Abby on the face and she's like, please stay. And Abby's like, no, just let go of me. I need to go. You have to stay here. And then she just like slaps her in the face. And Abby's just so shocked. She's like...
I think what's worse is that Patricia then just picks up her book and starts reading as if nothing has happened.
Yeah.
Abby is absolutely traumatized. Carla is shocked, and Patricia has forgotten all about it.
Yeah.
And Abby doesn't know what to do. She's saying she's getting worse. I should stay. And Carla just says, nope, go to work, go to your date. It's going to be all right.
Yeah, go be young while you still are. And yeah, Abby's so upset, but she does agree and goes to work.
Yeah, so from that, fairly traumatic scene to the next sunshine scene, this is the scene with Athena and Hen having lunch together after the rubbish truck incident.
Yes.
They both look so gorgeous in this scene, honestly. They're beautiful.
Although I do call bullshit that the fact that the two of them are sitting there in the diner in full uniform.
Yes, and also since they've been climbing around in a garbage bin. Like in a truck.
Yeah, so they're both in full uniform, so they're obviously still on shift. But yeah, I would have thought, like, I don't know what firefighters and police are like in the US, but I know that here in Australia, if you are in that kind of uniform and you're going out for lunch, you put on a shirt or a jumper over the top of your uniform shirt to hide your badges so that nobody really knows who you are while you're wandering around the streets. Otherwise, you're going to attract unwanted attention.
Yeah.
People are going to come up to you and expect you to do your job even though you're on your break, or they're just going to abuse you.
Yeah.
I've worked retail for a long time, and I've had a lot of police come in just in uniform to shop. It's like, shouldn't you be doing things?
See, whereas if I'm like in the CBD, maybe it's different because I'm in the CBD where I am. They will cover up their shirts. So if they're in a uniform, if they're not plain clothes, they'll put on something. So you'll still see their boots and you'll still see their pants and you'll recognize them as, okay, that's a cop. but you can't see their shirt with their badges and their markings.
I wonder if it depends as well what type of person that they are. Like, some probably like being recognised.
True.
Yeah,
I don't know, if you are a paramedic or a firefighter or a police in the US, chime in. Do you go out in public in full uniform, or do you try to disguise yourself?
While off duty. Because, like, while you're working, you should probably not disguise yourself.
Yeah, but if you're, like, sneaking out on your lunch break.
Yeah.
I think while you're on shift, you're allowed to go and get food, though. So...
Oh, yeah, you're allowed to go and get shift. But I feel like a lot of first responders would try to cover up the fact that they are still on shift.
Yeah.
So that they don't get people side-eye them going, like, why aren't you out fighting fires right now?
Fair enough.
Why are you standing in line for Subway?
Because we have the ambulance base near work is, like, pretty much right next to it's actually right next door to a Red Rooster, which is another Australian
convenient.
thing. But yeah, so they drive the ambulance to there's a McDonald's next to that, and so they drive the ambulance through, like, McDonald's and Red Rooster all the time.
It fits through the drive-through?
I think they park. I don't think I've actually seen them drive through, but they, like, I've definitely seen, like, the ambulance just, like, there and them bringing out, like, food.
Okay. So Hen and Athena are doing a catch-up over their lives. Athena is asking Hen how it's going with Karen, which Hen does in the most convoluted way possible. She says to Athena, she presented me with papers.
Yeah.
And Athena is incredibly confused and thinks, what, divorce papers? And Hen says, no, custody papers. Which, again, it's like, wait, she's suing you for custody of Denny? But no, Ava is suing for custody of Denny. She is apparently claiming that she agreed to the adoption under duress, which is a very valid legal argument for getting out of any kind of agreement. Basically, that you weren't validly entering into the agreement in the first place, so it should not be made to stand.
Mm-hmm. So Athena is, like, wondering whether she has any grounds for this, like if she's got a chance. And Hen says, well, she did read about a case where they took a 5-year-old boy away from the only family he ever knew and gave him to his birth father. So she's worried. She is worried.
Yeah, of course she is.
And Athena just assures her that she's going to get through it, and she has the number of a good lawyer.
Which then Hen asks divorce or custody.
Yeah. And they're like...
just throwing that back in Athena's face.
But then we sort of get the change of subject back onto Athena, because she says that divorce should be the last option, especially if you have kids. And Hen's asking if she and Michael are going to have a divorce. And Athena just says, yeah, she's not sad about it. Well, she is sad about it, but she knows it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, I think she's definitely looking forward.
She's also excited not to feel so confused all the time.
Yes.
Yeah, she's excited for the next step, for sure.
Yeah.
As we see later.
Hen asks if she's found anyone new, and Athena starts to sort of play coy, like, maybe. And Hen calls her like, dang girl, already?
This is so cute, this whole scene.
I love their friendship so much.
Athena tries to kind of brush her off, like, no, it's not like that. And Hen says, I'm still trapped in my past. You got free. You got to tell me about this. And everybody raise a glass because we have our first mention of the episode title and episode theme. So Athena tells Hen about meeting Aaron in the bar. And yeah, this scene is so cute. I totally buy the chemistry between Angela and Aisha is so perfect. I believe that these two are besties.
Yeah.
And that this is just two girls, like, having a chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love when they, like, pair up the ones that are, like, actually friends. It's so good. And yeah, Hen and Athena just have the cutest friendship.
Yes.
So Hen is amazed that Athena Grant let a man pick her up and take her home. And Athena's like, well, I did run a background check on him first. She said, I didn't plan to go home with him, but he's just so... And she gets this dreamy look on her face as she remembers what happened that night. And sort of comes back to Earth and says, I just needed to feel like a woman. Which is kind of what we talked about in the last episode.
Yeah.
That she needed this after 14 years and a rather sexless marriage. She needed to get some.
Yeah, good for her.
Yeah. And she didn't think, she thought it was going to be a one-hit wonder, but she guesses she made an impression. And Hen's just like, really?
They do this double high five that ends up with them like holding hands. It's so cute.
Oh, that's so cute.
I love them.
I wish there was 10 more minutes of that whole scene because it was gorgeous. But we go instead to our mother and her son. I think the closed captions told me that their names were Marjorie and Todd. I don't think they ever actually said their names at all, but
no,
that's their credited
we didn't get any names, but yes. We are at the Wilshire Bedford Medical Tower.
Right. So they're running late for an appointment. They rush through the foyer and get into an elevator while the mum is busy telling the boy that, well, he looks like he's about 20. Maybe less.
He's 18.
There you go.
Because she actually says that...
oh, you're 18, not 8. Yeah, that's right. You don't have a job, you're not in school.
He's complaining. Yeah, apparently they're going to therapy, I'm assuming for him. And he's saying that he doesn't... that maybe they shouldn't be going to therapy because it's not working. And he says and his mother says, it's not working because you're not trying. And it starts going on like, you're 18, you don't have a job, you're not in school. He kind of pushes back and says, well, I just haven't figured out what I want to do with my life. And his mother's response is, who cares what you want to do? Do you think I really want to be spending 80 hours a week doing what I do? No, I don't. And before Todd can answer, the elevator suddenly plummets out from underneath them. They were up at the 8th floor. I think I counted the numbers ticking up. And they rapidly descend past the 2nd floor, which is when the emergency brake kicks in. We hear the brake squealing as it tries to slow the elevator car's descent, knocking Todd and Marjorie off their feet. Todd looks like he's just kind of banged his shoulder. I was surprised he didn't actually dislocate it, but he seems okay, but Marjorie is out cold.
Yeah. And he calls 911 from inside the elevator.
Which, again, why is he calling 911? There is a freaking button on the inside of the elevator panel for emergencies. You call that.
Maybe it's not working.
That's your first port of call.
I don't know.
He panicked. He's 18. It's fine.
Again, the whole calling the security, which calls the hotel, which then calls 911, not as good television. Just
yeah, we need to have the 911 call to, the trope of the show. So
yes,
the 118 turn up.
But again, we see this beautiful shot of the ladder truck racing down the street. But when we get to the actual office building, it's the engine truck that is parked at the front.
They got there first, it's fine.
Also, there is an ambulance parked at the front. There was no ambulance in that scene when the ladder truck was racing towards them. Told you, I'm going to be so pedantic about this episode.
Oh dear.
I am keeping track of these trucks. Anyway, Marco comes out of the buildings, and I don't know what his character's name is, but I'm going to call him Marco because that's who I know him as, because he was in one of my favourite TV shows when I was a kid.
Oh.
So, this is Marco.
Well, he's now Marco. I don't care what his other name is. All right. Well, he says that all the cars are locked down. Somewhere around floor 8, as you say, the damn thing just started dropping like a rock. Yeah. And then they work out that the other problem with this is that the basement is currently flooded. So there is water coming into the elevator car.
Apparently this is the 3rd time that month that the basement has flooded, and Bobby just, his hackles start to raise. He's like, you didn't think to get the elevator cables checked after it flooded because, the water corrodes them. And You know,
I don't know how Bobby knows. Well, actually, maybe I do know so much about
think
building
Bobby-
maintenance, but you know,
He's very up to date on building codes.
I think
yeah.
he's has a very special interest in
Yeah.
building maintenance. And Marco kind of says it was on the to-do list. They were going to get the flooding sorted first, and then they were going to look at the elevator, but the elevators kind of forced their hand.
Yeah, no shit.
yes. So Todd tries to get his mum to stand up because you know there's water getting higher. Bobby says they're going to have to go in from above, so Buck and I should go down there, and Chimney just really kind of flatly says, I'll get the winch, because we know how much Chimney loves working the winch.
But he doesn't look like he's bitching and moaning about it. Like the last time he was ordered to work the winch, he thought it was the worst thing in the world and he hated every minute of it. Right now he's just like, yeah, okay, I'm going to get the winch.
This is my job. I'll do it.
That's my job.
He's got no one to play up his work stories to now. He doesn't care anymore.
Aww. That's sad.
Poor Chimney.
See, I had a different take on that, but okay, let's go with yours.
Way to make it sad.
I mean, it's kind of good that Tatiana's out of his life anyway, so.
Yeah, that's true. Where are we up to? Oh, so Todd and his mum have a bit of a heart-to-heart moment while they're in peril. And he says, we're only here because of me. I'm sorry. Dad left because of me. And his mum's like, no. He didn't leave because of you. He left because he got bored of me and our life. And you're nothing like him. You take after me. That's why I'm so hard on you. Like, oh my God, these dysfunctional families. So by then they've got everything ready and Buck and Hen rappel down to the top of the elevator.
The water is now waist high at this point inside the elevator car.
Yeah. And they manage to get in through the roof, through top of the elevator and all the way down, and they're so happy to see them. And they get the mum out.
But because the hatch of the hatch of the elevator car is so small, only one person can go up at a time, so they need a second harness for Todd to be able to get out, because Buck can't just kind of grab him and hold him as they lift Buck out. But unfortunately, as the water is filling up the elevator car, it is weighing down the car, which is putting stress on the brakes, and it's dragging the elevator, and it starts to drop.
Yeah.
So the water is still rapidly filling. Buck is asking for another harness. I don't know why they don't have a second harness. I don't know why they don't grab the one off Marjorie and throw that one down for Buck. Buck asks Todd how good he is at pull-ups. I think he's asking whether Todd can climb the rope out of the harness, climb the rope out of the elevator car through the hatch, and then Hen can lift him up. But instead, and I don't know how much time lapses, but somehow, even though he's chin deep in water, Buck manages to get himself out of his harness, get Todd into it, and then they lift Todd up out through the hatch.
I thought that was all a little fast. And then followed by...
Look, Buck is really good at getting undressed, okay?
The water then comes right up, and Buck, by the time they pull Todd all the way out of the elevator and up to the floor which they descended from, Hen's calling out to Buck and he's underwater. But the water...
Yeah, Buck's fully under the water.
Yeah, but the water gets high enough that he's able to then actually just swim up, basically, and pull himself out of the top of the elevator. So he's okay.
He looks so pleased with himself.
He's so happy.
He's so cocky this episode. I love him.
And Hen's just looking at him like, damn you for making me worry about you.
And it's I don't want feelings about you. What are you doing? Worst younger brother ever. Should have just got a Dalmatian.
So then we cut back to our dysfunctional family, and Marjorie has come to the realization that she and Todd could have died trapped in that elevator together.
Hang on, I've got to take another drink.
full of anger and resentment, and she doesn't want that for them. And Todd's trying to reassure her, like, no, Mum, they got us out. We're free. And she's like, yo, no. Like, we're physically free, but we're not free metaphorically. So, pack your things, you're moving out. Literally.
I laughed so hard when she said that. I'm like, what?
Like, he's 18.
He's going, but I don't have a job. And she goes, you've just proved to me that you're not a helpless idiot. You can find a job.
Like, in this economy?
Han's looking at them like, what in the white people?
Yep.
Like, poor kid is 18. Like, Jesus.
Yeah, but it's funny because, like, they just had this life-altering experience, and this is what she's coming out of it with.
Yeah, and she's like, get the fuck out of my house.
I love you, now move out.
Yeah.
From that scene, we cut to a beautiful house at nighttime.
It is a beautiful house.
It is floor-to-ceiling, wall-to-wall patio, full glass windows / doors that lead out to a pool, and we can, where the camera is outside, so we can see into the house, where Aaron has Athena pinned up against the wall, and from what we can tell, she seems to be quite enjoying it.
Yes.
So this must be the tomorrow night after my shift that she was talking to Hen about.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is date number 2.
Looks like it's going well.
Yeah,
except that he tells her to keep on her uniform. And she's like, well, how's this going to work? And then he goes on like a little, role play situation here.
Which Athena was into until he kind of broke from procedure. So the role play was that it's a really hot Los Angeles day. He's doing 90 in a 45 zone. She pulls him over. And as she approaches the window, because she's so hot, she starts unbuttoning her blouse. And that's where he loses her. She's like, why the fuck would I be unbuttoning my blouse?
Yeah.
And she kind of asks him if he's high. Like, have you been smoking something? What are you on? No, Aaron's not high. It turns out that Aaron is a bratty little sub just looking for a dom. Right. And he thinks that he's found it in Athena. So he says that he is a strong man. He runs an entire department with 50 people answering to him. He's always in control. So what could be more sexy than a woman strong enough to take that control away from me?
Yeah,
Yep.
she's like a bit taken aback. She's like, oh, I've never done anything like that before, at least not in the bedroom. It's like, really, Athena? I find that hard to believe.
I really, really question that Michael did not ask her to peg him at least once.
Yeah, like, she has big top energy. But she's into it. Like, she, tuts at him and picks up her handcuffs and says...
Yeah, she takes off her tool belt, drops it down. He's, like, fully stripping. She very pointedly puts her phone on the dresser on the other side of the room. Aaron gets onto the bed. She grabs those handcuffs, crawls on top of him, tells him he's under arrest on the charges of being so damn fine.
Yeah, there's a very conveniently placed bar above head height on this 4-poster bed, or at least a large headboard that has, bars across it.
I mean, my headboard had bars across it.
Oh, there you
if
go.
anybody's interested. So
Perfect for handcuffs.
But yeah, it's very...
Hang on, I've just got to open Amazon and grab some handcuffs real quick. What?
It is very interesting that when Aaron kind of puts his hands up to get handcuffed, he kind of slides his hand under the bar of the headboard, not just puts it on top of the bar.
Yeah, so he's like grabbing it kind of thing.
So when Athena snaps the bracelet around, she kind of goes over the top of the bar to snap it around his wrist.
Okay. So if he had done it the other way, then they wouldn't be trapped.
They would be handcuffed together, but they wouldn't be trapped on the bed. But because when...
trapped, take a drink.
Aaron says, like, do you want to read me your rights? And Athena's like, oh, you have the right to be as loud as you like. And sort of bends down to start kissing him. And Aaron, thinking he's being cheeky, grabs the other bracelet and snaps it around Athena's wrist. So his wrist is under the bar. The bracelet is going across the bar onto Athena's wrist. So, yeah, they are cuffed
to the bed.
Around the
So
headboard.
They're what?
Yes.
They're trapped?
They're trapped.
They're trapped.
A friend said recently that he tried to show his family this show, but he forgot how much sex was in season 1. And like, this was just after I finished last week's episode, and I was like, really? Then I come straight into
And
this
then you
episode.
got to this one.
And I messaged him and I'm like, yep, okay, yep, can see why showing you your family this was awkward. And he's like, yep. Was much better once we got to season 2. I'm like, Jesus Christ, you poor thing.
Oh, things dry up a little bit in season 2, don't they?
A little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, Athena freaks out. She's like, what the hell did you just do? And Aaron's like, I thought you were into this. And she's like, yeah, but you just cuffed us to the bed. And these are not like the sexy fun time handcuffs that you can just like squeeze them and release the pressure and they pop open. These are like full professional, you need a key to
and
get
the key
out
is
of them.
over there.
In my tool belt on the other side of the room.
I want to know why she has her tool belt in the first place. Like, how far is
Because
she
it was
taking
after
this role
shift.
play?
Yeah, she came just off her shift.
Yeah, but
So she was fully in uniform when Aaron had her pinned to the wall.
wouldn't you remove that as fast as you can after you finish your shift? Like, it's maybe if she's been in the job a while, it's like she doesn't even notice it anymore. But like, did she have her gun on this belt? Like, it's
Maybe Aaron said, you don't need to bother getting changed.
Yeah, he had a plan. It's fine.
Yeah, I think he wanted this. He wanted something along these lines.
Yeah. Well, anyway, they are trapped, and he does say, like, they try to get out of it. Like, she tries to climb over the top of the bed, but the bed won't move. And he suggests maybe he can call his friend who lives a couple of doors down. And Athena's like, no, absolutely not.
No one is seeing me like this.
And so he's like, well, what are we going to do? We have to call 911. She's like, actually.
Which then we get a very confused Terry walking over to Abby going, you have a caller on line 2. They specifically demanded to speak to you. Poor Terry. I don't know what Athena said to him.
I can just imagine him being like, we're 911, we don't really take requests. And Athena's just like, put Abby on the phone right fucking now.
Yeah.
I will have your badge. Terry's like, I don't have it, just put it there. Okay.
There's that big top energy, the dom energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she has this really awkward conversation with Abby where Abby's like, oh, hi, Sergeant Athena. And she's like,
No, not Sergeant.
Just
not
Athena.
Sergeant.
She's like, I've got myself into a bit of a jam. I need you to call Henrietta and have her call me back on this number. And Abby's like, do you have her number? She's like, no, I don't have her number. Do you think I'd be calling you if I had her number?
Oh, the very modern problem of where we have everyone's number and we constantly talk to them and text them on the phone, but because the number is saved in our contacts, we've never actually memorized that phone number.
Yep.
I barely know my own phone number.
I call my best friend every day. Yeah, literally. I call my best friend every day. The only, like, if I lost my phone, the only reason I'd know her number was because it's on all my dog's tags.
Oh.
Like, I'd have to chase down one of my dogs and be like, okay, come here. I have to call your other mother.
So, I mean, it does... I think this line is supposed to be like, it's so ridiculous that you have to call 911 to get your best friend's phone number. But, yeah, I mean, it's very, very understandable and very relatable.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Abby says... well, it's okay, I can just ask Buck for it. And Athena's like, okay, fine, but you cannot tell Buck why you want it. And again, I want to hear that conversation. Like, hey, Buck, it's Abby. So, do you have Henrietta's number? Why? Oh,
I need it.
I just need it.
I can't give you that information or I'd have to kill you.
Look, honestly, Buck is such a beautiful golden retriever that Abby would probably text him and be like, hey, do you have Hen's number? And Buck would be like, yeah, here it is.
Yeah.
No questions.
And Abby would be like, you're not going to ask. No. Okay. Yep. Cool. Thanks, Buck. See you later.
Absolutely. That is absolutely how it went down.
Yeah. Like, there wouldn't even be a conversation. It's like, yep, no problem.
Aaron is just the whole time just lying on the bed listening to Athena. Just like, okay, this is my
He's
life
so
right
chill, this dude, actually. Very chill.
Abby also agrees. Like, Abby also checks in that Athena's not in danger. And Athena's like, no, not of anything except being embarrassed.
Because, I mean, at this point, she's still in half of her uniform, but her shirt is completely unbuttoned. Aaron is naked except for his boxer briefs.
Like, you can just tell Abby would be so... Abby's just like, what happened? Like,
Yeah.
she'd be so curious because she's like, surely it's not what I'm imagining, but
I'd
is
be
it what I'm
dying of
imagining?
curiosity.
Right? Like, I'd want to know so bad, but like, she doesn't know Hen well enough to be like, so the other night, what was that about?
Yeah.
And she can't ask Buck to ask Ken because then Buck would be finding out, and that's what Athena doesn't want. Yeah. But it works, obviously. However she does it, Abby gets in touch with Buck, who then gives her Hen's number, who then Abby gives the number to Athena, and then Athena calls Hen.
Yeah.
And sometimes later, Hen lets herself into Aaron's house.
Yes. How did
And-
Hen get into the house? Who knows?
Because this is my theory. Because Aaron was saying, I want to call my friend 2 houses down. I'm going to say that his brother or his friend 2 houses down has his spare set of keys.
I totally was
So-
just imagining that he had one of those fake rocks. But like, it's such a nice house that he doesn't even have normal rocks in the front yard. So it's literally just like a fully paved like driveway and then just a rock. And that rock has a key.
No,
Either that or it's such a nice house that it's just a pin pad and he just told her.
well, no, it was
like,
keys because
yeah,
you hear
you
the
can-
keys.
Oh, it was keys?
jingling.
Okay, yeah.
But the thing is, would his
Definitely fake rock.
would his friend down the road give a stranger the keys? Like,
No, because I can imagine that, just to make it even more convoluted, so Hen would have called Athena on Aaron's phone, and Athena would have said, you're going to go to this house and get the keys. Aaron would have then called his friend and said, this chick is going to show up asking for my keys. I need you to give them to her, no questions asked.
Yeah, no questions asked.
at this point, there are far too many people involved in this secret.
It's so stupid.
And
But
meanwhile, Buck has just texted Abby, see you in the morning.
But it works. So Hen lets herself in. She and Athena play a game of Marco Polo to get Hen to the bedroom, where she takes one look at Athena and just bursts into hysterical laughter. Like almost falling over. She is laughing so hard.
Yes, I love it. I was also laughing a lot in this part. And she's like,
It's
you
so great,
called
like-
911 for this?
Like Athena's like covering Aaron
Yes!
with a pillow. Like Aaron's laughing. Athena's just like, "Are we done? Like, are we done? Yep. No, we're still good. Okay, this is fine."
And then kind of the penny drops for Hen for why she's called. It's because Athena needs the key, and the key is in her tool belt. So she grabs the key and she's like, okay, cool, here's the key. I'm just going to unlock you. And Athena's like, did I ask you to unlock us? And Hen's like, shocked Pikachu, like, what?
Oh.
Like, you, just put the key there where I can reach it and you can go.
She's just like, get it, girl.
I'm just gonna grab your tool belt and drag that closer in case you want to get kinky with the taser a little bit later on too.
I laughed so hard at the kinky with a taser.
And she laughs so hard as she leaves.
Aaron started laughing at this point
She
too.
Right.
threatens to take a selfie first as well.
Oh, the selfie!
That would have been a very blurry selfie if it actually took.
100% later on, after all of this is done, Aaron is going to turn to Athena and gone, I really liked that Hen.
Athena's just going to be like, yeah, she won't be alive much longer. That's fine.
She just rescued them.
So from kinky police roleplay to something a little more wholesome, we cut
Very
to
wholesome.
Abby driving through a vineyard looking incredibly confused. But her like Google Maps equivalent is telling her she's in the right direction. So she just keeps driving, turns up this dirt road that goes up a hill. And at the top of the hill, we see Buck just sort of unfold himself from where he was sitting on the side of the hill. And Buck stands at the top of the hill with this huge bouquet of flowers just waiting for her to join him up at the top of the hill.
And he is in leather and he is looking good.
Yes.
Is very... Buck cleans up very nicely.
He's got this leather jacket, his hair's all good, like,
Yeah.
he is, yeah.
It's his day off and he's
Perfection.
living.
That's it. But, like, is this the breakfast date, though? Like, is this
No.
after a graveyard shift? Or did
I
we...
was looking at it going, wait, so if they cut the scene and is it the wrong time? But would you have champagne and truffles?
Yeah.
For breakfast? Absolutely, why not?
Yeah, you could-
Yeah.
Like champagne's a big thing for breakfast, right?
Especially if you're off a graveyard shift as well, because, like, technically it's your nighttime.
No, I don't think it is, though, because after this scene, when Buck goes back to work. And, like, his shift
Oh,
is
he
just
does
starting.
too.
Day off. Yeah, you're right. Oh, what is
'Cause-
going on in
'cause
this
he's like-
episode? No one checked anything.
How long was the hot air balloon flight going to go for then? Like, up and down, and then Buck's like, shit, I got to go to work?
It's
like,
his day
what?
off.
No, because he
his
took
day.
the entire day off,
Yeah.
but when Abby abandons him for reasons that we'll talk about later, he decides, well, I'm just going to go back to work then.
Because
Sure,
when he
as you
gets to
do.
work, Bobby says, it's your day off. Like, what are you doing here, you know?
I thought
Look,
you were supposed to be up in a blimp or something.
It is my day off today, and I may or may not have gone to work. But still,
I thought you were going to say you went in a
Still.
balloon. But
like, it was the other branch, so technically it wasn't my work, but it was the branch that I used to work. Anyway,
I
Didn't
think
count,
that
okay?
first,
Didn't count.
That first scene with Abby and the graveyard shift and the breakfast date just was completely did not belong in this episode. Everything else in this episode has gone in chronological order. That scene is the outlier.
yeah, okay. Okay.
we just missed
So-
breakfast. It's fine.
Let's just
This is another
strike it from the
another
record.
morning.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, they're gonna go on a hot air balloon date, which Abby doesn't look that thrilled about because while she's never been up in a hot air balloon, she's answered plenty of calls from when they've crashed.
I heard that and I'm like, oh, that's filling me with confidence for this scene.
Yeah.
But we don't even get that far because
We don't.
as soon as they take a few steps towards the balloon, Abby's phone rings, and it's Carla who is trying to calm down a very distraught Patricia.
We can hear Patricia in the background going, "Who are you? Abby? Where's Abby?"
Yeah. And when Carla puts Abby on the phone, Patricia says, "Why are you keeping me prisoner?" So,
Even Patricia's trapped.
oh my God.
I ran
So,
out of drink. I can't keep taking drinks.
We should definitely do this episode for the drinking game. But Carla says she thinks that Patricia needs to see her face.
Yeah, like, she's got her on speakerphone and she doesn't understand. And so Abby goes, yeah, I'll be there as fast as I can. And Buck just looks so sad.
He's like, it's a hot air balloon. You can't just reschedule a hot air balloon.
God knows how much money he spent on this thing, which he's probably not getting
Yeah.
back. So I understand why he's disappointed. But, you know.
Abby explains that it's her mum. They had a bad night. She's just in a terrible place. She really just needs to go, and she's sorry. But Buck kind of says, "Yeah, it's fine," and she books it out of there, leaving Buck just standing there. He sort of looks over his shoulder at the hot air balloon guy, says, "So you want to give me a lift to work?" Which the first time I watched that episode, I went, "Yeah, Abby, what are you doing just abandoning Buck?" But his Jeep's parked up on the hill behind him.
Yeah.
So he's not abandoned, and he doesn't need a hot air balloon to get to work. Unless he's just saying that because he's like, well, I booked this hot air balloon, I
Yeah,
may as well get my
go
money's
for a
worth.
fly.
I figured that he was like, well, I'm all, like, geared up for a hot air balloon ride. Like,
Man, I would have got on that balloon and drank the champagne and eaten the truffles and, yeah.
Aw, get sad drunk.
And then not gone to work. But it's his family, so he has to go to work, you know, if he's feeling sad.
Yeah, so then we cut to the 118 where Bobby is lacing up his boots, clearly getting ready for his shift, and Buck walks in. And
already
like we said,
dressed.
yeah. Maybe he's got his maybe he went home and went, fuck it, I'm going to go to work, got dressed.
I think he just got to work early. And so, like, he's already dressed. He's, like, had a bite to eat.
Yeah. And he clearly needs a father-son heart-to-heart with Bobby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that Bobby just goes, aren't you supposed to be up in a blimp or something? Like, Bobby's like, yeah, I totally, like, was listening.
Yes. He corrects Bobby and says it was a hot air balloon, but she bailed because her mum wasn't doing well. And Bobby's like, yeah, sometimes that happens. And Buck's like, no, I need you to say more because I need to get this out. So he just ends up blurting out this whole thing to Bobby about how great Abby is. You know, she's smart. When she makes fun of me, it doesn't make me feel bad. She has her own money. The sex is insane. She's perfect. But maybe she's not for me.
Yeah. Bobby's like, oh, I just thought her hair was great.
It really is great.
It is great.
Connie Britton has such great hair.
It really is.
He wants to have fun. But he doesn't want to jump back into bed with every girl he meets. So he's not that person anymore. But he wants someone
Buck
who's
2.0.
less adult. Like, what does that mean?
He's like, I'm
Buck?
He's Buck 1.5. He's
He's still
getting
conscious that he's like, I'm only 26, right? I should be having fun. I want to have fun. And I guess he's not having fun right now because Abby keeps bailing on him.
And everything's too real. Like,
Yeah.
Buck's clearly never had that responsibility.
Buck's
Like,
never had a relationship before.
yeah, like, I don't think Buck's even ever kept a houseplant alive before.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden he's with this woman who has to keep her mum alive.
Yeah.
And can't just drop whatever she's doing to play with him when he wants to play. She has other responsibilities.
Like, it's very like morbid because it's not a kid. Like, you know, kids go to school and that sort of stuff. Like, this is a full-time thing, and like, it's only going to end with Abby saying goodbye to her mum at some point.
Yeah.
Like, whether she puts her in care or what, like, that's the only way that's going to end, and that's a lot of adulting.
And that's terrifying for him, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh, he's getting some cold feet.
Especially with his background. Like, Alice knowing, you and I
Yeah.
knowing what we know about Buck.
Oh, there's more
This
pain to
is-
come, I'm sure.
Oh, there's so much pain to come. We're only in season 1, honey.
How did I sign
So-
up for this?
But Bobby gives it to Buck straight. He basically says that he thinks that Buck was hoping that he was going to be able to pull Abby out of the trap that she was in with her mum. But
He's
that's
trapped.
not what's going to happen. Yes. And instead, what Abby needs is not for Buck to rescue her, but for jump into the trap with her and keep her company.
Yeah.
And Buck just kind of thinks about that and considers it. Because, that's a lot harder than swooping in and being that white knight.
Yeah, because, like, when they met, like, Abby was like, you know, I don't get to do anything. It's just me and my mum, like... And so Buck was like, oh, that's okay. I'll just take you away from your mum. And Abby's like, no, that's not it.
Yes,
But-
take me away from my mum, but, like, not too far. And
Yeah.
I need to go back every now and then.
Yeah, that's a hard reality check for a 26-year-old, I think. Maybe he's also coming
Anyone
to
really, but especially,
facing that mortality concept is really hard when it hits. You know, I say this knowing nothing about what Buck's backstory is, and I won't know for a few more episodes, I'm sure. I don't know when his intro, like, origin
Buck
story
Begins
episode.
is, like, 3, 4? I want to say season 4.
Oh, God, okay.
yeah, season 4.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we're going to
Yeah.
get to know him really well before we get destroyed by his backstory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's a whole lead up before then too. It's super
Yeah.
fun.
All right.
Yeah. So from segueing from stepping inside someone's trap, we cut to Winslow, who is, like, army crawling through this tiny tunnel.
And there's rats in there with him.
He's got a Zippo lighter in one hand, a loaf of bread and newspaper in the other one.
Yeah, it's clearly like hoarder-y, like the piles, like the tunnels made by like piles of stuff.
Yeah, books and furniture and magazines and stuff, right?
Yeah. So he's like crawling through this tunnel and he's calling out to Cecil. Cecil's like, were you followed? Winslow goes, no, I wasn't followed. You sure? Yes. But then...
Did you get the bread I liked?
Yes. But then Winslow gets snagged on something. And so he like twists around to sort of see and try and detach himself. And then there's this rumbling and the walls just completely collapse on him.
Then we cut to a 911 call. And this is Abby.
Is this the first Abby 911 we've had
The first one, yeah.
this episode?
Technically, I mean, she was on call for Athena's personal emergency.
Oh, true, yeah.
This is her first, like, official 911 call. And it's Cecil calling for help because he thinks his brother's been crushed because he set off one of the booby traps. And Abby's all like, I'm sorry, did you say booby traps? So she dispatches the 118 and the engine truck and the ambulance show up, and I honestly think it should have been the ladder truck because the ladder truck has all the tools in it.
Oh.
So I think that would have been more useful, but maybe they did.
Where did they get the like circular saw from then?
All of the trucks have, like, all of the vehicles have saws on them, but the bigger tools are in the ladder truck.
So like the jaws of life would be in the engine.
It's in the ladder truck. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe they only had the budget to get one truck, so they just decided it was going to be the engine truck for this episode.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to every call.
They spent a lot on stacks of newspapers for this scene.
So anyway, so they get a saw out, which is not like the big emergency rotary saw, but looks like the Makita that your dad's got down in the workshop at the back of the house.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what they normally would carry, but that's what they use.
Yeah, they just went down to Bunnings and grabbed a Ryobi.
Yep, he went to Hammer Barn. He cuts a great big hole in the front door. And when he sort of lets go of it, it just collapses outwards because there's a bunch of books and stuff leaning up against it.
This random baby doll comes flying out as well.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, it's definitely a hoarder's house.
Yeah. Bobby is talking to a woman in the neighborhood while Buck and Shim and Hen are sort of investigating different avenues into the house, and she calls Winslow and Cecil kooks and hoarders on steroids. She says she's never seen one of them, and the other one comes out every now and then, sort of skulks around the neighborhood, goes shopping, and then comes back. And it's funny because when we first meet Winslow, he's trying to reassure Cecil that, I circled the blocks 3 times so that no one's followed me. And then this woman says, like, he comes home and he circles the block 3 times, like he's trying to make sure nobody's followed him, but nobody's following him.
Yeah.
Like, how do these people in these shows always know so much about their neighbours? Like, I literally know nothing about mine. And I live in a unit block.
I'm not going to be, like, maybe I'd notice them going around the block 3 times, but I wouldn't be...
I absolutely wouldn't. I don't...
I wouldn't be noticing they're not coming and going.
I think it depends on the kind of neighbour you are. There are some neighbours that would notice everything that's going on.
That is true. This lady is funny because her name's Betsy, according to the closed captions, and she's like the stereotypical neighbour lady. She's in her dressing gown and she has curlers, and she's got a ciggy in her hand. And she's talking to Bobby.
Of Babette. And to the point where I actually had to look up to make sure it wasn't the same actress, but it's not.
It was reminding me of that. I don't remember what her name was, but that episode of Supernatural where she's a demon and like where Cass comes back and he's like holding her by the curlers. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah, she looked like her. But anyway, she's very observant, obviously,
Clearly.
because they're kooks.
Well, someone who's not observant is Buck, who is up peering into one of the windows on the upper story. He's pulled the boards away and he's sort of taking a look around. He's amazed at what he's found, but while he's looking at everything, he doesn't see the bowling ball that comes swinging towards him like a cannonball and knocks him off his ladder.
I mean, he is wearing a helmet, but like it looked like it hit him in the face.
I'm assuming it hit him on the helmet because he does not show any sign of like concussion or
like
blood or anything.
If that had smacked him in the nose, that would have like there would have been blood everywhere.
They can't hit him in his pretty face.
I'm really surprised they didn't have it hit him on the side of his face and they make some sort of comment like, no one can tell, you've already got a mark on the side of your face.
Thankfully, they stopped making those remarks about that earlier.
So that's the first of the booby traps that they've found. So Abby then sort of connects Cecil to Bobby. And Bobby's telling him that they need to get into the house. They are going to pick a window and Cecil is going to disarm all the booby traps. And Cecil's going, I can't. I'm blind. Bobby's like, fuck. Now what do we do? The best way into the house, as far as Cecil knows, is the back tunnel, which is the one that Winslow used. But since that one has collapsed, it's going to be the front tunnel from the front door, which goes back about 25 feet, which is about 7 meters, but warns Bobby that he has to make sure he stays on the right because about halfway down there is a trap, and if you trip it, a circular saw blade will fall and cut you right in two.
As, you know,
like, great.
It's like, how did they rig up these horrible traps? Like a bowling ball to the face, like circular saw in your guts?
It's very Roadrunner and Coyote.
Yeah.
But not humorous at all. So they're all sort of staring at the door and staring at the tunnel, and Buck's game to try and go through and disarm the traps, but he doesn't think he'll fit. And Jim senses his moment and he goes, I would. I'll fit. Cat, pick me. Send me in.
I love that Chim's crawling through the tunnel and doing the bit from Die Hard, and Buck's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And yeah, Chim even says to Buck, you make me sad.
They cut to Bobby and Bobby's just like rolling his eyes, and I don't know whether he's rolling his eye because he didn't know what Chim was saying either, or at the interaction between Chim and Buck. Maybe he's just done with all of them.
Probably just done with all of them.
So Chim keeps crawling, and we get to we can hear a circular saw spinning somewhere. He gets to a cuckoo clock and stops, and in the light shining from his headlamp he can see a tripwire sort of running at sort of chin height, and then looks up and the circular saw is directly above him. And Cecil talks him through how to disarm it. The cuckoo clock is set at 12. He needs to move the hands to 11:11, and the clock strikes. I don't know why it strikes, because it normally strikes on the hour. It wouldn't strike at 11:11 unless Winslow has somehow got in and changed all of the mechanisms on the inside, but it strikes, the cuckoo pops out, and the circular saw powers down.
I'm guessing he probably did, since he rigged up the entire house to be a bomb, basically.
Yeah.
So he keeps crawling and he gets to the main room where he can stand upright, and he finds Cecil.
Yeah, and he's in a very dark room, so the windows are all boarded up. So Chim goes and breaks some of the boards off the window so he can let a bit of light in. But Cecil is really, getting very distressed about the whole thing. He's like, Chim asks him how long they've been living like this, and he's like, well, I don't know what you mean. But they've been there since, after Mum and Dad died, which was in 1967. So, and they've been protecting the house since then. But he can't do it by himself. He needs Chim to stop what he's doing and help me find him right now. So Chim stops and sort of comes over and, tells him it's going to be okay. I'm going to find your brother. Wait right here and I'll come back for you.
These characters are honestly fascinating. Like, we get like a little bit of backstory, and I just want more. Like, not often we get, like, too much of background
These two
characters.
are fascinating.
But I just want, like, because they're like, you know, been in the house since mum and dad died. So, and then they had to protect it. So I'm like, did their parents die in a home invasion? Like,
Yeah.
what
There's
happened to make them
obviously-
spiral like this?
There's obviously some mental health issues going on with Cecil that Winslow has just gone along with.
No, Winslow seems to be very overprotective, like extremely protective of his brother.
So they're kind of feeding off each other.
Yeah.
They're,
I don't know if either of you have watched Better Call Saul,
no.
but so Saul, is it Saul's brother? It's been a long time since I watched it. I think it's Saul's brother is the same sort of way. Like, he's unwell and, like, just housebound, and his house is just full of old newspapers. Like, it's not quite hoarder level, but yeah, like, doesn't have electricity because he doesn't trust it, and Saul sort of, like, goes along with it, but at different times he's like, you need to snap out of this, and he's just like, no, like, I can't, this is my life.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to know so much more about these characters.
Yeah.
Well, they seemed really sweet apart from the, you know, deadly traps thing, but, like, otherwise they're, you know, they can't leave without the other one, and...
Yeah, that's it. Like, their bond is so...
Extreme.
It's Sam and Dean
Codependent.
in a different
It's
universe.
universe.
Codependent is the word I'm looking for, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely the Winchester brothers in a different universe.
Oh, man, that's sad.
Okay, so which one is the blind one sitting in the chair, and which is the other one army crawling through the tunnels to get bread?
Oh,
man.
I reckon Dean's sitting in the chair, and
Really?
Sam just goes along with it.
I was going to say the other way
I was
around,
gonna say the
because
other way
Dean's
around.
always looking after Sam, so...
Like, Sam fucks off whenever he can.
Yeah, but if something really bad happened to Dean, I mean, except going to purgatory. But yeah, like, this is like, if Mary had been killed by, like, a home invader instead of a demon, and so John Winchester was just like, we have to protect the house because it's all we have left of your
my
mother.
God. Someone write this fic, please.
And then John also
Okay,
dies
no,
and
no,
leaves
no.
the house.
No, it's John and Dean. John is the one stuck
Oh,
in
and
the
Sam's
corner.
already left.
Sam's
yes.
already left.
Oh.
Yes. And, like, they're in California because they had to... No, that doesn't work because it'd still be the house that Mary died in.
Oh, my God.
But yeah, nah, John and Dean. It's absolutely John and Dean.
Yeah, and Sam comes back to try and snap them out of it.
Interesting plot. Yes, let's file that one away for a DCBB sometime. It sounds heartbreaking.
The poor artist who has to draw the hoarding house.
Meanwhile on 911.
What show?
The 118 are back on 911. The 118 are systematically dismantling the hoard, and they're carrying everything out to the front little garden area to try and clear a path to find Winslow. And they find him. And at this point in my notes, I just started getting very shouty. Because Winslow, they notice some blood on his legs, so they roll him over. Hen cuts away his pant leg to discover a very gruesome compound fracture, which means that the tibia has broken and the bone has protruded through the skin.
It's nasty.
Buck notices that there's a discoloration below the break, and he thinks that the blood might have been cut off. So Bobby asks him to check the dorsalis pedis pulse, which is the artery that runs along the top of your foot. But
Hen
they can't.
says
They can't
she can't
find
find it. Probably because she didn't take his shoes off.
Oh, really? I didn't know.
There's no time. There was no time for her to have unlaced or cut open the laces of his boots or his shoes to take his shoes off.
Maybe
to
he
check
wasn't
pulse.
wearing shoes. You don't know.
So no wonder she.
Maybe
can't
they
find
don't
it.
trust shoes.
Well, maybe his foot will fall off if they take the shoe off. I don't know.
So now we get to where I start to get really shouty because Chim says that if there is indeed impeded blood flow, then he could lose his leg, and they are going to realign the fracture in situ. And I am not a doctor. I don't even play one on TV, but even I would not think that you would not do that. That the best course of action would be, we are going to stabilize the fracture as it is. We are going to get you to a hospital as soon as possible, and we are going to let the medical experts pump you full of antibiotics, clean the wound, and get that fracture set under pain medication. Not.
I'm sure they gave him morphine. He'll be fine.
It was literally Buck and Bobby held him down.
Yeah.
While Hen and Chim snapped his leg into place.
And he went,
and then
they
yell at him when he, in pain, starts writhing. And they're like, no, keep your leg still. Like, sir.
Also, if you snapping the bone back into place, is that going to re-establish blood flow? I mean...
No, it's possible you're going to sever even more of the veins and arteries by reintroducing the shattered bone back.
I don't think that's how it works. It's not like a kink in a hose where you just straighten it out to get the water flowing again.
And it's not a dislocation. Like, those bones at that point do not need to be put back together. They need to be...
It's also been a while at this point, and who knows what bacteria is in that house.
Exactly. And let's
let the bacteria go all around his body and potentially kill him from sepsis, rather than just letting him lose his foot.
Alice, I really want to know what Kate thinks about this scene.
Yeah, please find out.
So, anyway, after torturing Winslow, they decide that now's time to take him to the hospital. Like, not before. Now. Yeah. They strap him to the board, pick him up to carry him out. And I was very happy at this point because there is a member of the 118 on camera who we have not met before.
Oh.
Yes.
We don't know their name, though.
This is... Where did I put his name? His name is Metzen.
Oh, okay.
This is Metzen. There's another guy, I think, outside or waiting by the door, and his name is Bird. So now we have 2 more members of the 118 that we've kind of unofficially met.
Bex and I have this weird obsession with, like, the B team and the other members of the A team who aren't named. Because, like...
Now they're named!
We finally have names! Because like, we get so much with, like, Han and Chim and Bobby and Buck, and the other members are just like, oh, okay, like, it's fine, don't invite us to family dinner.
We've got our own, like, fanfic running in our group chat.
It's a whole thing.
Amazing.
Like, Bobby doesn't know their names, he just calls them the wrong names all the time. He makes them do stuff for, like, oh, it's great. There's a full episode that we rewrote in, like, in the point of view of the B team.
Like, one member they come back on shift, and one member of someone's running out and like, guys, don't go in the locker room. Diaz and Buckley are in there. The others are like, oh god, again. So we've just met 2 new members of the 118. I look forward to seeing them in future episodes. Spoiler alert, I don't think we do. So long, Metzen, we barely knew you.
Integral members of the team, Bex. Couldn't do it without them.
And Cecil is... Winslow is refusing to go. He doesn't want to go and doesn't want to leave his brother. And Cecil says that...
He's like, Cecil, don't let these mean murder... Like, these people are going to, throw me in a dumpster or something. They're like,
I am not surprised that at the end of the episode they go back to their hoarding ways, because if leaving the house is this is what happens when I leave the house, I'm not leaving the house again.
Yeah, that's fair.
But in order to calm his brother and get him to go to hospital and accept medical care, Cecil decides that he is going to put aside whatever mental health issues are going on that's forced him to start living in these conditions, and says that he is going to go with Winslow. He is going to leave the house. Mm-hmm. And as the music supervisor needs to be shot for this. So as Cecil walks out of the house and greets the sunshine for the first time in, 40 years?
Yeah.
We have Sunny by Boney M playing, and specifically we get to the part where it says, "The dark days are gone and the bright days are here." And I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Isn't this song like covered in an ad or something?
Sunny, I think it's lots of people have covered it, but I think this is the original Boney M version.
This is definitely the original, yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting that Buck and Abby's scenes bookend this scene with Cecil. So, not even like Buck and Abby scene, but we had this scene with Buck being told that Abby's down the trap and you have to go down in there with her. And then you get the scene with Cecil and Winslow where they're in their trap together and they both leave. And then we get Buck and Abby who are having coffee. Buck says that he figured they'd just try something not special so that Abby has to cancel it. She won't feel so bad. I'm like, oh wow, that's a little bit passive aggressive.
Yeah, thanks. I'm just going to join you in your trap, after all.
But yeah, that is the point of this scene is that Abby is trying to let Buck go for Buck's own good. She doesn't want him to be trapped in her life with her, and Buck's saying, no, I want to be trapped with you. He actually says that he doesn't think that she's trapped. He thinks that even with the fact that she's living in this trapped life, she manages to find a way to break free and to be herself. And if the price that he has to pay for being close to her, this like amazing woman who, despite all of her circumstances, still manages to live and be free, is a couple of cancelled dates, then you know what, that's a deal, and I'm in. I'm not going anywhere. So he's really taken Bobby's speech to heart.
Yeah.
And
He's growing
decided
up.
that,
It's sweet. Yeah,
we're
it is
like
sweet.
Buck 1.75 maybe.
Yeah.
Not quite Buck 2.0 yet, but we're getting there.
And Abby's very grateful.
Yeah.
They have some smoochy kisses.
They do. And then for more smoochy kisses time, we go back to Aaron's house, where he's made a duck curry for Athena.
Yeah. It's a good looking duck.
I love this. He's fishing for compliments. He's like, I bet your ex wasn't a gourmet chef in his spare time. And Athena's like, actually, Michael was a great cook.
Why would you bring up the ex-husband when she's been, like, not even divorced, like, 2 weeks, maybe? Like, Aaron, don't.
Now is not the time to try and get comparisons going.
Yeah.
He says that he wants to take Athena away for the weekend. And Athena just flat out says, no, I'm not going away with you for the weekend.
Yeah, she just wants no strings attached sex. That's it. Not a relationship.
She says, I'm trying to work out how to be single at 50. I'm like, oh my god, you're 50? And then I googled, and no, it gets worse, because while Athena Grant might be 50, looking like that, Angela Bassett was 60 when she filmed this scene.
Oh
Really?
my god.
Oh god.
I know it's not her skincare secrets, I know it's genetics, though, but just, oh my god, to look like that when I'm 60.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, she's gorgeous.
She's so freaking beautiful. So yeah, she is trying to work out how to be single at 50. She got married because her biological clock was ticking. She stayed married for the kids. She's getting divorced for herself. She just wants sex.
Good for her.
Aaron looks a little bit put out about it, and he goes, oh, I guess you're not staying the night then. And she goes, well, depends on how good the duck is. So, did you not hear the woman, Aaron? She wants no strings sex.
And she'll eat your food.
And free food.
Will
Yeah.
also happen. But we go to a slightly different coupley scene with hand banging on a door, and Eva answers the door. And she says, she's a bit squirrely. She says, oh, my lawyer says we're not supposed to talk. But Hen basically accuses her of, filing for custody because she wants to get back with Hen. And Eva's like, well, what's wrong with that? We could be together and a family. And it's like, he has a family. So
Eva accuses Karen of baby trapping Hen.
yeah.
Which I don't really know how that works, because the baby came with Hen, not with Karen.
Yeah,
so
it's the
would
other
it
way
have
around.
been like Hen has baby trapped Karen? And Karen doesn't seem to be complaining. Karen seems quite happy with her life.
Yeah.
And Hen is quite happy with her life. She loves Karen. She does not feel at all trapped with her, and tells Eva that this fantasy that Eva has of them getting back together is never going to happen.
Yeah, she's incapable of caring about another person other than herself, which is why she will never let you near her son.
This scene, like, it's so powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, Hen's whole monologue is just
She
amazing.
puts so much emotion into it. Her lip is quivering, her eyes are filling with tears, her voice is all over the place as she's trying to repress her emotion and just get these words out so she can leave.
Yeah. Like, it's me trying over and over and over to build a life for us, and you tearing it down brick by brick by brick until I'm left alone, heartbroken, in a hole that I don't even know how to climb out of. I survived you. Like, It's just so good.
It is good. At the same time, it's a very, like, from a script writing point of view, it's a very long monologue, and it took me out of the story a little bit just because I was thinking that in a real fight, would Eva really be standing there just taking it? Like,
I feel like Eva would have been a bit taken aback, honestly, because, like, last time they saw each other, I'm pretty sure, was when they slept together.
Yeah.
So Eva's just like, oh, hey, and Hen's like, nah, fuck off. Like, this is what I think. Like, you need to stop. And Eva's just like, oh, shit. Like, she's actually standing up to me for
Like,
once.
the fantasy that Eva had is just unraveling in front of her, and she's powerless to stop it, and she doesn't really know what to do next. Like, how do I turn this around?
Yeah, like, the power was Eva's until just this moment.
yeah.
And then she realized nope. It's interesting the different comparisons they have with both women being trapped. So Eva accuses Karen of trapping Hen. Hen says that Eva was actually the one that trapped Hen. She's saying that she was in a hole that Eva put her in, and then Eva even says that she had been trapped sort of physically, this time by prison, and that she is now free of her cage, and it has changed her. She's a changed person, and she loves Hen. But Hen's not buying it.
Yeah.
Which, the segue from Eva saying, I'm free of my trap, I've changed, and then we cut to a montage with Abby doing a voiceover. And the montage that she's talking over is all of the people that we saw throughout the episode get freed from their traps, going back into them.
Oh, so much trapping.
Sort of. So the homeless man that they rescued from the garbage compactor, who they obviously delivered to a shelter, leaves the shelter and goes back on the streets. Wilson and Cecil go back to their house, and Wilson starts putting all of the boards up over the windows that Chim had ripped down and closing the curtains and trapping them back in their house. Todd gets trapped into a life of capitalistic servitude because his mother has successfully kicked him out and he's moving into an apartment. So I'm assuming he got a job.
Yes. She says if you're being held back or forced into a situation, you do whatever you can to break free and survive. I don't know what the name of the music. Oh, it's Eye of the Storm by Monsters and Men. I don't know. I didn't recognize the song, but it's about facing your shadows and probably getting out of a trap, I imagine.
Seems apt.
Yes. So traps don't look the same to everyone, Abby says, especially not from inside one. And escape isn't always the default. And once in a while, the very thing everyone thinks is holding us back is what makes us feel at home.
And at this point of the montage, we've reached Abby, who is waking up in the morning. And she gets out of bed, puts her glasses on, walks across the room to the French doors that separate her bedroom from the living room / Patricia's room. And she just stares. And then in this little voice just says, "Mom?" And then goes up to the bed, and the camera pulls back so that we can see that Patricia is lying in the bed and she has passed during the night. And Abby is absolutely distraught because I think she might be free from her trap, but she really didn't want to be, because freedom means the death of her mother.
Yeah, this scene is so heartbreaking.
It's so sad.
And that's the end of the episode, and we're left with a sad one.
We're left sad, and it's... The next episode is the finale for season 1.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's a interesting message at the end there, because, you know, she was saying that, you know, a lot of the time a situation that you're trapped in is what feels most familiar, I guess. I mean, in a way, a lot of people probably do find themselves in situations they can't get out of. And not because they are unable to get out of the situation, is just because they don't want to, did you say?
I think it'll be interesting. I think a lot of Abby's life has been so wrapped up in her mother for so long that, and everything that she does in her day-to-day and her week-to-week is driven by taking care of Patricia. Now she doesn't have to take care of Patricia anymore. What is she going to do?
Yeah.
What's going to give her life meaning now?
I have a feeling we're about to find out.
Well, considering the next episode is called A Whole New You.
Yeah. Seems
I think
likely.
we might. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked this episode.
Yeah.
Especially after the one that I definitely didn't like last week.
Yeah.
It was the same format of, you know, every storyline that we came across in this episode was about people being trapped. And I know that we joked about, you know, every time someone literally said the word trapped, we would, you know, take a shot. But I think they did it was a much more subtle way, a much less in-your-face way than Karma is a bitch.
Yeah, and it all, like,
Yes.
built up to this whole thing, and then Abby's mum dies. Like, Buck accepts it, and, like, it honestly, I didn't expect her to pass this episode. Like, I think leading up to my first time watching, I think I expected it in the next episode.
Not right at the end of this one.
And not at the end of this one. And, like, you know, Buck's like, yep, I'm here with you, I'm all in. And then it's just over.
Yeah.
I think that was the other thing that was kind of missing from Karma is a bitch, in that even though this was another one of those all the storylines are on theme, there was still an A story tying them all together, running throughout the episode. So every time you cut back to Buck and Abby, it was moving their story forward until you got to the end of the episode. It wasn't just a bunch of random people being trapped that had no connection to each other than everyone was trapped.
Yeah, and, like, we got the awesome moments with Hen and Athena. Like, it wasn't just glossed over, like...
Yeah, I don't think there were still any whole cast scenes in this episode. I mean, if a couple of the, obviously the garbage truck scene, they were all there, but... Well, some of the emergencies they were all there for, but they didn't ever, like, all sit down and have a dinner or anything, you know? Like, there was...
But the other good thing was that they all got decent chunk of screen time. Like the previous episode, Buck had 3 lines.
Yeah,
and at the beginning of this episode, I was a little concerned because it didn't look like Chimney was getting a lot of airtime. But then he got to do the cool Die Hard crawl through the hoarder's house.
Yeah, he got his hero moment. Like, he got to talk to see. Like, he did, like, disarm the trap, And he spoke to Cecil, and he found, like, Winslow.
Yeah, he did a lot of good paramedicing.
He did.
He did not.
I mean, he did a lot of bad paramedicing, but he got an opportunity to
But I guess the point is that none of the members were forgotten. Everybody got their little moment to shine in this episode. It wasn't the entire focus on one particular character, one particular storyline.
Yeah.
Which, in case you hadn't noticed, this was a different writer than the previous episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank God. And the pacing was good too. Like, there wasn't just like it didn't go from the most heartbreaking scene. Like, imagine if it had gone from like Athena's sex scene to Hen and Eva's talk.
Athena's sex scene to Patricia dying.
Yeah. Like, we went from Athena, like, letting Aaron down gently to Hen's scene with Eva.
Letting Eva down not so gently.
Yeah, and then to Abby. So, like, we had, like, there was humour, but the sad parts all were,
it was,
like...
The flow was good.
The flow was way
well
better.
Written. It was well paced. It flowed. And yeah, I was not looking at this going, holy shit, we've still got 12 minutes of this episode to go. I'm done.
Yeah, I didn't get whiplash.
Like I was with,
Yeah.
So we'll have to... so this episode was written... the story was by Adam Glass and the teleplay was by Aristotle Kousakis. So I have to keep an eye out for those two. See if they write any other future episodes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the only character that didn't really get, like, a huge storyline this week was Bobby. Like, he had his heart-to-heart with Buck. And he had, like, some captainy moments. But after last week's, that didn't feel out of place. Because he had a huge, like, life-altering thing last week.
Had his turn to... Yes.
So it's okay for him to sort of take the back seat. Like, he was still in it and he still had his very in-character, like, what are you doing about these elevators?
Yes.
But he still
got to be a dad to
that's
Buck
it.
and give him the, advice.
Yes. So when this show is written well, it is a very good show.
Oh, that's it. It's so good.
Yeah, I'm sure every show has its ups and downs.
Exactly.
Don't we know?
And especially when you've got a show where you have a writer's room and it's not, for example, Aaron Sorkin writing every single episode of every single season. When you don't have one writer, you are going to get ups and downs depending on which writer you've got writing this episode. A good writer's room would try to minimize the difference, so you shouldn't be able to look at an episode and go, oh, it's by this writer.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately is what happens sometimes.
Yeah. Well, next episode being the finale for season 1, we would love you to send us some feedback of what you thought of the first season. You can write it down and email it to us. Our email address is contact@thatwewishow.com, or you can record a message on your phone or however you record audio and send that to us. You can leave comments on our website on each of the posts there. The website's thatwewishow.com, surprisingly.
You can message us on Twitter.
Yeah, there's so many ways you can get in touch with us. We'd love to hear from you. So please send us all of your feedback. I think we have to have a deadline for that feedback because we're going to record that episode in we need to record it ahead of time because our dear Bex is getting on a plane and going to a supernatural convention in the States.
Yes.
So if you would send us your feedback by June 14, which when you are hearing this episode will only be in a few days' time, but if you can get your thoughts into us as soon as you can, that would be awesome because then we will be able to read them out when we record that episode.
If you leave us a voice message.
Yeah. So here is your call to action. Go do that.
We have a couple already, which is exciting, but yeah, we'd love some more.
Brilliant. Next episode, episode 10, is called A Whole New You. Bex, do you want to read out the summary?
All right, the summary is: the first responders get personal on an all-new season finale. How can you have a new season finale? Oh, good lord. Anyway, the first responders take calls to help an unusual domestic disturbance, a quote-unquote death at a psychic's, and a absolutely horrific motorcycle crash. Meanwhile, Bobby dips his toe into the dating pool, Abby takes a walk down memory lane, Buck is confronted by his past actions, and Athena tries to start her new life. And triggers for that episode, in case you haven't watched it and are thinking of, we have a man who is alive but not alive during an autopsy. We have a decomposed corpse. We have mortuary processes. We have extreme gore with absolutely horrific motorcycle accident.
All right. We're nearly there. We're nearly at the end.
We're nearly at Eddie. I mean, what?
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you very much for listening to this episode, and we'll talk to you next time for episode 10, A Whole New You. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
911 is a fictional show, but many of the situations portrayed happen in the real world too. If any of the topics we've discussed in this episode have affected you, please know you're not alone. You can call or text numbers in your country for help. Just Google crisis support in your location to find out the number. If you enjoy our podcast, you can help us out by leaving us a review on Spotify or your preferred listening app, and by sharing our social media posts. Find out more at thatweewooshow.com.
We're just firefighters.
Be proper
Just
Australian.
firefighters.
I've totally called this guy the Garbo through the whole of this this episode.
I feel like we should keep that in because it's very Australian.
Yeah, why not?
Hang on, I'm just going to check my notes. I'm pretty sure I have too. Yeah. So Bobby tells Buck they're going to have to get in front of him, which Buck likes the sounds of, so he speeds up and cuts the garbage truck off, forcing him to stop. The Garbo's all, what the hell, guys?
Excellent.
Garbage truck driver is too many words. Garbo's
Yeah.
like 5 letters.
Yeah, what do they call them in America?
Waste, like sanitation workers?
I guess, yeah, that's way too many. Garbo.
I think the closed captions do actually say garbage man or something at one point. Yeah, garbage man. Yeah, that's what the closed captions. I'm like, no, he's a Garbo. Come on, garbage man sounds like the name of a superhero.
Garbage man. And we have a funeral.
Right.
Alice, what the hell does press F to pay respects mean?
Oh, you haven't seen... That's why people say F in chat when people die. It's a Call of Duty thing.
Okay.
They're at a funeral and you like walk up to the headstone and it's like press F to pay your respects. And that's why there's like a whole bunch of emotes that are just like the F key.